Old Jack Finnegan was no scientist, no high-ranking officer, and no planetary explorer. He was just an old mechanic on Station Gamma 7, a lonely speck of rust and solar panels on the edge of the known galaxy. He fixed things: turbines, plasma relays, the occasional fusion coil when it blew. Just a man with grease-streaked hands and a mind for machines. And that's probably why they'd chosen him. It had started with a call, an urgent, frantic call from the higher-ups. Jack had been elbow-deep in the guts of a broken-down engine when 2 station guards showed up, muttering something about an emergency, and ushered him into a hidden part of the station he'd never been allowed to enter. Only the most sensitive projects, the guard had explained in a whisper. Inside, under dim lights and guarded by scientists with haunted eyes, was a spherical device about the size of a human head. Jack could barely take his eyes off it. A mass of twisting silver and cobalt tendrils, its surface flickering like molten metal. The thing gave off a low hum, a song he could feel in his bones, a vibration as ancient as it was alien. "Just solve it," the chief scientist had said, looking at him as if he were the last person alive in a sinking ship. "None of our analysts have managed a breakthrough. The puzzle's so complex it's alive somehow." Jack squinted at the orb, recognizing an odd sort of mechanical logic in its design. The scientists had been approaching it like a puzzle, solving it with algorithms and models. But to Jack, it didn't look like a puzzle. It looked like a machine that was broken. He touched it, and the metal instantly shifted, moving with an almost organic fluidity under his calloused fingers. The orb vibrated, and for a moment, Jack thought he felt something like acknowledgement, a nod from the thing. He leaned in, following the parts as they twisted and turned, remembering the instinct that had gotten him out of many a jam. He'd once fixed a mining drill with nothing but a spoon and rubber tubing. This, he figured, couldn't be much different. Hours went by. Jack found himself lost in the thing's patterns. There were levers and tiny gears, pieces he slid and twisted until they moved as smoothly as a well-oiled engine. It was clear now that the sphere was meant to change, to transform itself with each adjustment. Piece by piece, he tuned it, each connection making the hum of the device grow louder, more rhythmic. It was almost singing. "Jack," whispered the chief scientist as she saw what he was doing. "It's responding to you." He didn't answer. The orb was something far more incredible than he could have guessed. It had been designed to resonate, to open a gateway, not one for physical travel, but for information, a kind of cosmic knowledge he couldn't fully grasp. He felt as if he were moving dials and levers on a machine meant to open minds. With one final twist, the orb whirred to life, unfurling like a blooming metal flower. Blue light poured from it, casting shimmering waves across the walls. Everyone held their breath. And then a voice older than any civilization Jack had ever known, spoke directly into his mind. "Greetings, traveler. Your touch has awakened the Nexus. The knowledge you seek is yours, for you have shown the wisdom of those who build." The voice wasn't speaking in words exactly, but in images, in feelings, in the whir of rotating gears and the hum of distant engines. Jack's mind filled with visions of the universe from millions of perspectives. Star systems that spun like clockwork, worlds teeming with life he could barely comprehend. It was an understanding of mechanics on a cosmic scale, a blueprint for harmony between species, for creation without destruction. The scientists around him watched, breathless, as Jack's face lit up with wonder. To them, he was just an old grease monkey who'd managed the impossible, solved the puzzle even the brightest minds couldn't crack. But Jack knew the truth. He hadn't solved anything. He just listened to the machine as he'd always done. The device went quiet, its energy dimming, and Jack withdrew his hands, his face pale and reflective. For him, everything had changed. He knew things now he couldn't put into words, secrets of the universe that would take lifetimes to unfold. As he left the lab, the chief scientist stopped him. "Jack, what was it? What did it tell you?" Jack glanced back at the machine, then at his hands. "It told me," he said slowly, "that sometimes the most powerful minds are the ones who don't try to force answers, just fix things." The mechanic walked back to his bay, his mind still humming with the alien knowledge. knowing that he'd unlocked something extraordinary. He was just an old mechanic, after all, but he'd come to understand one simple truth. Some puzzles aren't meant to be solved.